That is Mexican songstress Amanda Acevedo along with former Bad Seed Mick Harvey. Together they've made Phantasmagoria In Blue, a collection of duets, mostly covers, some originals, that have, if nothing else, one common theme: to, as Amanda says, be slow and depressing. Here are Mick and Amanda to explain how this project came together.
Well, I think it all started as a bit of I asked him for a song so we could interact and he could give me advice, and it was just meant to be private. I didn't think it would become anything more, but I think when we started hearing our voices together and feeling that it was working well and that it was so much fun to do things together, ideas kept coming and it was unstoppable. So I think it was when we recorded Phantasmagoria into it was like, oh, this is really good. It needs to be out there in the world, and it was a bit difficult
It's
for me
actually
to
really
process
good,
that,
yeah.
but it was a really nice idea, I think. As well.
I think the point is that the ideas kept coming, which Amanda just said, which is the point really for me. And I think we've even been discussing certain things recently about just playing things or people presenting things or people analysing what you've done. And really so much of it comes down to ideas and whether the ideas are good and whether the ideas are important to you or mean something to you. So, and really the ideas kind of kept coming, mostly from Amanda's side. And I was just like, oh, there seem to be a lot of ideas here, which is, that's the main thing you need. So that suddenly seemed like something that was viable and had some strength or basis to it. So we started delving further into it and making more stuff and seeing how it went.
Yeah, so Phantasmagoria in 2 is a Tim Buckley song, one of 2 that you guys sing on the album.
Yes.
So whose idea was the Tim Buckley? Who brought that to the table?
If the fiddler played you a song, my love, and if I gave you away, would you spin for my heart and loneliness? Would you spin for my love?
Amanda brought that, and then I mean, "Song to the Siren's" always been a favourite song of mine, so I actually suggested that. And I know it's a well-known song,
Yep.
and we do prefer, if possible, but just because it's nicer to do songs that are quite obscure that people might not be familiar with, or are less likely to be familiar with. But that one, in the case of that song, it was just always like a favourite of mine, and not really this Mortal Coil version. No objections about that version, but
Sure.
I was always a fan of the Tim Buckley original, which is a kind of amazing recording as well.
Yeah.
But also just that it's such a perfectly constructed song, and it really is written like a duet anyway, and no one had done it as a duet, so it seemed like an opportunity for me to actually record that song.
Yeah.
Sneakily.
Amanda, how did you get turned on to Tim?
It's very funny because most of the artists that we covered together are artists that I really like, and most of them I found them because of his music, because Mick done covers of Tim Buckley before and stuff, and I heard them and I started researching more, and now we have really similar taste in music. But it's like sometimes I teach him things he didn't know about those artists, and most of the time he's teaching me things, and it's like really nice that we have a different perspective on those artists. So yeah, something like that.
Like most young people, and like I was when I was younger, you find someone or something you're interested in and you delve into it a long way.
Yeah.
And these days, that is like you can just go all because everything's out there and available now. So as Amanda has engaged with Lee Hazelwood and Tim Buckley and different people like this, she's telling me things about them now and sharing songs of theirs that I didn't know. So, because I just only know half the stuff, because it was never available, wasn't available, a lot of it until 10 years ago. So, it's a bit like that. So it becomes a cyclic thing with the feedback and kind of sharing. It's a very nice thing.
Yeah,
It's like the feeding of the 500.
I've
The
always
fishes
liked
and loaves and fishes. Sorry.
no,
Sorry,
I
Amanda.
always liked obscure music, but then I found the bad seeds, and I saw that many artists that they covered or are people that weren't related had really interesting stuff, and that's what my like a treasure for me. Like, oh, so much music I can find through them, and then I made my research, and now it's mostly the things I hear. I don't, I don't remember my musical life before finding all these things. So it was really an
Well,
important
but
find.
Amanda also brought some Spanish
Yeah.
Yeah,
language songs and ideas to the project, which was great
that's
too,
true.
and things that I wasn't familiar with at all, really, in that
I'm
regard. And
assuming
I'm
the
sure
Blue
there's a few
Unicorn is one
more.
of them.
Sorry?
Yes.
I'm assuming the Blue Unicorn is one of them.
Yes, yeah.
Mi unicornio azul ayer se me perdió,
My blue unicorn went missing yesterday.
bastando lo dejé
Grazing in a field,
y desapareció.
then just slipped away.
Cualquier información bien la voy a pagar.
Any information I will
Las
pay.
flores que dejó no me han querido hablar.
The flowers
Yeah,
left
it's by a Cuban songwriter called Silvio Rodriguez, and
Right.
it's that's sort of music that my family listened for many years. I heard that at the family gatherings and stuff, and they are songwriters that are really uh, poetic and interested in politics and stuff. Things that are for me is similar than to Leonard Cohen or people like that. Like
Right.
I found that, and every time I try to share those songwriters with people that speak English, they are not really interested because they cannot connect with them or anything. And I thought this was the perfect way to introduce a bit of their things into that world and the
Right.
connection. So
Yeah, and I like the idea that you sing it in Spanish, a verse in Spanish, and Mick sings in English, and it kind of
Yeah, I thought it was difficult to construct it at first because the spaces, and I needed to make some extra spaces in the music, and I was hoping it wasn't too confusing and jumbled. But I
Right.
guess in a way it's a little bit like doing a running UN translation or something for the benefit of the
Yeah.
And I thought also it was. I mean, it's a very unusual thing to do, but I think there is one other example, sort of that. I don't know. Are there more? I mean, there's the Lee Hazelwood one on Cowboy in
yeah.
Sweden,
Yeah.
where he translates the Swedish song as she's singing, which is
Right.
is very cute. But this is done. He does that very much like he's just speaking it, whereas this one we're both singing it. So, and I'd kind of completely forgotten about that. That actually wasn't a reference point for me when I had that idea about the unicorn. Amanda had to remind me of that. So, yeah, it's an unusual thing to do, and it's kind of got its own kind of beauty to it. It's a very different way of approaching a duet too.
Yep,
It's a very different style of duet where effectively, I suppose, a lot of the songs. Oh, sorry about that. A lot of the songs on the album are like dialogues between people, as duets commonly are. They're usually a kind of dialogue between people, and that one is interesting in a way because there's not a dialogue between us, but the lyrics themselves are a conversation with the listener. They're a dialogue with the listener, so it kind of fits in that way.
Yeah. And did you guys record the vocals in LA? Is that where
We
most of that
recorded a
was done?
lot of the vocals in LA? Yeah.
So what were those sessions like? You had Alan Johannes working with you, and what other kind of what was the
it was that basically. I mean, mostly it was together. I mean, I did a lot of my vocals. I think most of my vocals at home with my setup, but I think I recorded some of my vocals there, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Do you remember? Yeah, I did do some vocals
absolutely,
there. And Amanda did most of her vocals there, and it was just great. We recorded 3 songs there as well with Al. So with Al and with Normito, the engineer, and that was really nice because we just expanded the songs that we had, from whatever it was, 14 to 17 or whatever they became, and that was really nice. So those are they all on they're all on the digital version of the album, aren't they? Yeah. So there was it wasn't Lost Something in the Hills. It was.
Yes. Yeah.
I Lost Something in the Hills.
There's Lost Something in the Hills. You Got Me Singing and Al Alba we did in LA with Alan.
From scratch, like we didn't have any previous recording of those. Yeah.
Yep. And was there much discussion among you about how you wanted to approach these songs, who was going to do what, and
Yeah.
the vibe, or
Yeah, I
was
mean,
it kind of natural?
particularly around, well, both those things actually. I'll let Amanda speak to the vibe and
Okay.
how we wanted the versions to be, because she gave most of the information about how to do that, and I just obeyed her. But with regard to the lyrics, the concepts around the duets and it being all duets, then yeah, with every song we had to kind of look at, or I looked a lot, particularly I think at first, about how things could be constructed as a duet, and there were a couple of songs that we did that really didn't lend themselves to being handled that way, because they were very individually personalized. It was like, oh, we can't really do that one on this project because we can't really make it into a duet actually. So constructing who sang what was really discussed a lot.
Yep.
And I think I very often presented the first idea around that, and then we kind of shaped it. And, every time I'd approach a song, or particularly the 2/3 of the songs which Amanda presented, she presented the bulk of the ideas about which songs we should do. I would very often, well, she can tell you, I would ask her, how the hell am I meant to, what do you want me to do with this song?
Right.
And
and I would tell him that I wanted.
What should I do with that song, Amanda?
Yeah, and I would say that I don't know, just make it slow and depressing, and that was it. he thought that was
Slow and depressing. There you go.
slow and depressing. Yeah.
You can do that.
And I'd say, yeah, okay, I can do that, because sometimes I'd be a bit confused, like, well, how am I going to do this song? And Amanda would just say, just make it slow and depressing, and I go, okay,
Well,
yeah, I can do that.
Brings us to Love is a Battlefield. Is that something that Amanda thought of?
No, that was
No.
actually one that I presented, and that was
there you
one
go.
of the few songs that appeared into the whole project, kind of from left field in a way.
You are strong. No one can tell us we're wrong. Searching our hearts for so long. Both of us know love is a battlefield.
I'd already recorded a strange duet version of it for a play that a friend was putting on, which was to be a version of Fool. What's it called? Fool for Love.
Yeah,
The Sam Shepard play, Fool for Love. And that has a kind of Merle Haggard song in it, but she didn't want to use the Merle Haggard song. She wanted to use a version of Love is a Battlefield. And I was like a bit shocked. I'm like, oh, God, I have to record a version of Love is a Battlefield. That's a bit weird. But as I worked on it, kind of the ideas for it, then, the whole play is really a kind of exchange, basically, between, there's a third person, but it's basically a kind of endless fights between these two people. So obviously the song itself would need to be kind of a duet, so they both sing it. Yep. So I'd already constructed this strange duet of Love is a Battlefield with a kind of country-ish feel. And then she couldn't use it in her play. So I very, very boldly suggested to Amanda that maybe we could do a version of that. I think she was as shocked as I was.
Right.
When I was asked to do it, she was like, "Really? How are we going to do?" But then it's a very different approach, and
yes, it is.
Yeah, and the core of it is a very beautiful song, really.
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
Amanda wanted to say something, so I'll shut up.
Amanda,
No, I just saying that I thought it was a joke, and I was trying to guess if he was serious or not, because sometimes he jokes about things, and I was like, how should I react to this proposition? I didn't know if it was serious, but then, like he said, sometimes people miss the lyrics of the original song because it's so rock and roll and it's very loud and stuff. And once we analyzed the lyrics, it was like, this is completely in the vibe of the songs we have been doing, and the arrangement he did once it became slow and depressing and not country. it was just really beautiful, and it became one of my favorites, actually.
Oh, there you go. That's nice.
So.
Yeah. And as a listener, it's like when you hear that, when you start to hear the song, even if you don't know what the title is, suddenly the lyrics, it's like, wait a minute, I know this song, but you don't know quite. And then when you get to the chorus, it's like, holy.
Because on the original, it begins with the chorus, so you're right in there.
Yeah.
And so my idea with thing was to construct it like a classic, like just a traditional country song.
Yep.
Where you start with it's just verse, chorus, and I knew that people wouldn't really recognise the verses because you'd kind of miss them in the original. You just kind of gloss over them and get back to the chorus,
Yeah, and the dancing.
and the dancing, and the flashing lights or whatever the hell's going on. But yes, they're kind of it's basically a well-written tragic love song, really, by a couple of very good songwriters, really.
Right.
Mike Chapman and is it Gloria? No,
I think it's Holly Knightley.
Holly
Knight,
Knight,
something like that. Yeah, that's a co-write, and that's just it's just a well-constructed song, so it was pretty easy to manipulate into a different shape.
So I know you guys got some shows lined up, but have you done some already in the UK?
We've done quite a few shows already.
Yep.
Even last year, before there was anything available, we did some shows. And earlier this year in May, we did 20 odd shows around Europe with JP Shiloh and sometimes with others. We kind of did this review show where we all mixed up the evening, which was great. And we did more of those in Europe in September and in the UK mostly, by which time the album was out. So, and we did some shows in Australia late last year too. We've just been busy trying to keep our hand in or something, or get our hands warmed up. And we've got more shows coming up November, December, and I'm actually speaking to a New Zealand person now about setting up some shows for the first weekend of February, and he just got back to me before this call.
Fingers crossed.
My fingers are already crossed. Yes.
Yeah. It seems pretty likely. Actually, he said it's looking likely for the first weekend of February. So hopefully, we'll be bringing some of presenting this album in New Zealand in the first week of February next year.
And for you guys, what is it like to sing these in front of people as opposed to the studio experience?
Well, it's I don't know. I mean, when you're performing live, it's kind of you're very often just kind of in the moment and just trying to present the song as best you can, that you don't really think about a lot of the surrounding things that are happening. I mean, if you're in an energetic show where you're doing a dance routine or trying to scream at people and the whole audience is going bananas because you're a heavy metal group or something, that's a different sort of experience. We're presenting these songs, and it's obviously like it needs to be kind of calm and have the situation where we can really kind of get inside them and present them. So it has its challenges, but it's also it is really nice singing them live. Actually, I must say, when everything's going well, it's really nice presenting them live.
Right, and there are a couple of covers, or not covers, originals, songs that the two of you written together. So
we've written quite a few songs actually. When I looked at it, but just we've kept quite a few of them for the next project. Or
that's the next question. Yes.
Well, I think Amanda actually wanted this album to be completely interpretations and translations, and to have no original songs on. And I felt that was a bit. Well, obviously, I got my way. Sorry, Amanda.
Of course.
I think that's correct. Is that correct? I don't want to misrepresent.
That was my first idea, but then it became really nice for me as well to add originals. Because
I mean, I sort of talked her into it, I think.
My concern was that we were mostly all the ideas were we exchanged them while being in different sides of the world and stuff. So I thought it was easier to approach new or songs that were already written, so we didn't have those conversations at the studio that usually for original stuff you need to be working a lot and being in the same mindset and the same moment. And I don't know. I thought it was easier, and also I thought it was like a little bit. It's my first project, so I wanted to establish something with this album. Like, this is the sort of music I'm interested in, and this is what I can do, and this is the sort of music I like. And I don't know, because it's just new for me, and I thought it was in a way it was safe, but also it was like conceptual, so it was a bit of everything to make it
I got that there was a conceptual background. To you wanting to have it purely covers, but I suppose in connection with my solo albums, where I've always got a couple of original songs, at least a couple. I mean, there's one full album of original songs, but
Yes.
usually I'm kind of interpreting stuff and moving things around, and that I will put 2 or 3 original songs in there, and it kind of feels more comfortable to me doing that. Like it's giving a grounding to a kind of reference point of your own presence there, which I don't know that can kind of interrelate with the rest of the stuff that you've chosen. So in a way, I felt it was kind of important. Anyway, I'm glad they're there. I'm glad the
Yes, me
original
too.
songs are in there, because they give a point. They do give a point of reference to how the whole thing.
I think once we had enough covers and the theme and the concept was really clear, it was easier to understand which originals could fit in. And
Yes,
which,
yeah,
were
exactly.
something
We
else.
had there were a couple that were pretty much finished, which we decided not to use because and actually they wouldn't have. Now I'm thinking of them. Yeah, they would have been really. They wouldn't have quite fitted with the mood of the album and stuff like that. So we have those, and we'll be working on some stuff in the Australian summer before we come to New Zealand to towards. And we've also done a whole lot of recordings. We got caught up in recording a couple of songs for a tribute to Jackson C. Frank, and we just ended up recording a lot more songs than we were meant to. Cool. So I think we might have a kind of weird kind of bonus project there, of like a whole lot of Jackson C. Frank interpretations, which will be interesting. But we need to finish them.
Yeah. And my understanding, Amanda, is that you're a filmmaker as well. Are you? Is that what you were doing mainly before you started making music, or I'm curious as to what your friends and family think about what you're doing now as opposed to what you were doing before.
That's a really complicated subject. No, before I was studying filmmaking, so I was just in school and I was starting with the filmmaking. I think I don't really consider myself a filmmaker yet, but I have been, since I was really little, been editing video and really interested in writing scripts and all that. So that has been always my passion, and I was studying it. And with this project, I had a chance to help with the videos and stuff. So now I feel like I can say that I'm a filmmaker. And I also
Amanda made a couple of the videos completely herself, really directed them and stuff. Cool. So, and directed and edited all the. But there's these mission statements out there. I don't know if you've seen them. They're on YouTube. Kind of there. Yeah. In fact, I need to put the full length one up. But Amanda did all of that basically. So she's become a filmmaker, whether she thinks she is or not.
Thank you. No, I really would love to keep doing film in my life, but I think I'm more like a creative person, and I need to do something, whatever it is, just that I can express my ideas. Sometimes I will be wanting to sing or to write or to paint. So I don't know really what I am, but I'm interested in the arts. That's what I can say.
That's okay. Actually, I was the same when I was your age. I didn't, I didn't. Even when the birthday party broke up, I wasn't sure if I'd continue playing music, because it feels like when you're young, really, it should feel like everything's possible. Like you can go in any path you want to. You shouldn't feel tied down to a particular thing. And I was contemplating moving into being involved with filmmaking as well. And then a few months went by, and I got a call from Nick, and ended up being in the Bad Seeds for 25 years. So
these things happen.
You go. Well, I think you go with you go. You take you follow a natural path in a way, and it's not. I'm not saying. Oh shit! Hang on. Sorry, I just pulled my headphones out. You don't do you don't just do the thing that's the easy path. You kind of follow the thing that is giving you the direction, and so I found myself in a good position with music again that was interesting, and that just kind of swept me in. So and I haven't regretted it.
Right now I'm really enjoying singing. Sorry, no, I'm just saying that music has been really good for me right now, even though I am not really professionally trained. Until this is my first project and my first live performances and everything, so
I'm not professionally trained either.
Yeah, I didn't.
It's just what it's happening, and it's
drawback.
I love
actually.
It. So sorry. What did?
Well, it's great. As I said, Amanda, I'm not professionally trained either. So it's just experience, and I've learned most what I know from experience. So.
Well, Mick, you mentioned Bad Seeds. I spoke to another one of your old bandmates from Crime and the City Solution the other day, Simon.
Oh, yeah.
You got a new album out. Do you kind of keep up on that stuff that your other guys are doing?
I'm aware they've just put an album out. It's just Simon and Bronwyn, really. I don't know. The others are all different people. So it's a different lineup, you know. I'm not really familiar with what they've done, but I hope it's good. Right. I hope they do justice to my commitment to the band over those years by making another good album.
Yep.
I would only wish that they do. So that's I hope it's. I'll get to listen to it sometime. Have you listened to it, Amanda?
I heard the singles. I haven't heard the full thing.
How are they sounding?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Very dark.
I haven't even listened to the new PJ Harvey album.
Yeah.
And it's not because I've been deliberately avoiding it. It's just I just don't get around to listening to things, and with something like that, I would feel like I'd have to listen to it at the right moment, like not in the background when I'm going to get disrupted or disturbed by whatever. So I just really haven't sat down and listened to it. And it might take me a few months to listen to the Crime album too. So yeah,
he's very busy all the time.
I'm afraid so.
Good. Well, I'm looking forward to you guys getting busy over here in New Zealand, because
it'd be great.
We're looking forward to the shows, and I hope that the album does well. I'm sure it's been out for a month now, so
a month or
a bit
longer.
Great write-ups, I see. So that's
great.
Yeah.
It's been getting a bit of attention in New Zealand. You've actually seen it there floating around.
It's something in the as much as it is.
It's out.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's out. All righty. Excellent. Well, thank you guys for spending so much time with me and talking about.
Thank you, Marty. Brilliant. No, always very happy too. That's great.